This is a thoracic vertebra, and we are looking at a superior view. We're going to go over the main parts of this, and then we will transition into the lumbar. Remember that the thoracic vertebrae make up 12 of the vertebrae in the spinal column. So let's start at the top. We have this, which is called the spinous process. You can see from the side, hangs down or points in a downward direction, spinous process. We then have the transverse processes, which would include this and also this, transverse processes. We then have the transverse costal facet. Transverse costal facet, which is going to be located right here on the transverse process. So this is where a rib is going to touch, which is where the costal part comes from. So there would be another one over here, transverse costal facet. We then have a superior articular facet, which would be here and also here. Superior articular facets. We have a superior costal facet, which would be located right in here. Superior costal facet, again, rib attachment, superior costal facet. Down below, we have the inferior costal facet, again, rib connection, superior costal facet, inferior costal facet. This would be the vertebral body, which you can see is quite thick, vertebral body. The vertebral foramen, We then have the lamina. So the lamina is going to be best seen here, leading to the spinous process. Lamina here as well. Okay, and then we have the transverse costal facet. So I'm going to turn it this way. On the transverse process, we can see on the inside right here, this is the transverse costal facet. Transverse costal facet on the transverse process. So that brings us to the end of the main features of a thoracic vertebra. We'll take a look now at the lumbar vertebrae, of which there are 5. And we can begin with, again, the spinous process. Hanging off the back here, spinous process. And then move to the superior articular facet, which would be here as well as here. So these two both, superior articular facets. We then have the transverse processes, which would be here and also here, transverse processes. We have the lamina, which is this bridge of bone leading to the spinous process on this side and also on this side. Then the pedicle, which is here and also here. Vertebral foramen and vertebral body. From a side view, it becomes a bit easier to see the inferior articular facet. So we'll turn it this way, and that'll give us a really good view. So this is the inferior articular facet. Above that, the inferior articular process. So again, the inferior articular facet and the inferior articular process. we mentioned that above that was the superior articular facets, but I also want to mention that above that we have the superior articular process, and then again superior articular facet.